Welcome to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Drea Dahl.
Of course, this is American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Do we have a show for you? Am I right, Drea?
We do.
We're going to talk about Obamacare. What happened with the GOP? Very confusing stuff. We'll try to kind of straighten it out for you, get you on track with that. Also, remember the name Neil Gorsuch. He's up for Supreme Court Justice. We'll tell you the latest on that. Also, what's the revenge angle? Why is there a revenge angle in all of this? Who's trying to get revenge on who? $1 billion for the wall, or at least just part of it. Hey, I thought the Mexicans were going to pay for that, weren't they?
I thought they were going to build it.
Yeah. Also, sanctuary cities. What does it mean, and what are the changes coming for those? And we'll also talk about leggings, because no show is complete without talking about leggings. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Drea Dahl.
And we are so happy to have you join us here on the half-hour political power known as the American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. It's great to be here with you on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Every week we bring you the latest in politics and what's going on in the world, especially what's happening here in the good old USA. Drea, I know we've been talking about this wall for a while. What's your take on this wall?
I'm happy to know that the wall is going to go underground as well. Now I think it might work. I think we need to get it done.
I'd like to bring this to your attention. Donald Trump, President of the United States, wants $1 billion to build 62 miles of this wall. As you know, this border with Mexico is thousands of miles long. So $1 billion to build 62 miles doesn't sound like a great deal here. This sounds really, really expensive. And I really hope Mexico is going to pay for it, like Trump was saying when he was campaigning, don't you?
Me too, yes.
I think that if we're going to do it, we should do it right. And this kind of averages out to about $3,000 a foot. This is the border wall. This is the security budget documents that were obtained by CNN. The documents outline a request of $1 billion to cover 62 miles of border wall, 48 miles of new barriers in San Diego and the Rio Grande Valley. Also 14 miles of replacement barrier in San Diego. I guess they didn't build the first wall that well, so now they need a replacement. To me, this sounds a bit cost prohibitive. How are we going to pay for this? And wouldn't this money be better used for some programs to help our own people, maybe find jobs or some other infrastructure, since our bridges and roads are actually literally falling apart, some of them going back to the 1940s and 50s and before that? I'm not saying not to build it, but I really think Mexico should pay for it. I think it's a great idea. We have 1,954 miles of border with Mexico. And what do you think about Mexico paying for it?
I think they should pay for it, but I don't know that they can. And I think that we should also look at, if it's $3,000 a foot, how much is it to take them back every time we have to do it?
I have a great idea. Why don't we just create a tax that pays for the wall? Everybody kicks in a few cents on every purchase or something like that, right? Like they do with the gas tax. They just have to increase the gas tax by about 5 or 10 cents, and I think you could cover the cost of the wall. What do you think?
I definitely think they need to get the money from somewhere without making it too big of a
Well, obviously,
big deal.
we're in such a budget deficit as it is. Do you really think we should be spending money on anything like that unless we can cover the costs? I mean, really, the first thing Republicans always talk about is not breaking the budget. If you build a wall at $3,000 a foot, then you're talking about a very expensive project. More in a moment on the American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38 here in the Central Florida area. It's great to be here with you. I wanted to talk about the failure of the Obamacare replacement to happen. This was a complete debacle for the GOP. That's all I can say it is. There's really nothing else you could say, right, Drea?
Revenge.
Of course, that's part of it. Revenge always plays a role in politics. But let's listen to what President Trump had to say about what happened and why he had to pull the bill.
Thank you very much. We were very close. It was a very, very tight margin. We had no Democrat support. We had no votes from the Democrats. They weren't going to give us a single vote, so it's a very difficult thing to do. I've been saying for the last year and a half that the best thing we can do, politically speaking, is let Obamacare explode. It is exploding right now. It's many states have big problems. Almost all states have big problems. I was in Tennessee the other day, and they've lost half of their state in terms of an insurer. They have no insurer, and that's happening to many other places. I was in Kentucky the other day, and similar things are happening. So Obamacare is exploding. With no Democrat support, we couldn't quite get there. We're just a very small number of votes short in terms of getting our bill passed. A lot of people don't realize how good our bill was because they were viewing phase one, but when you add phase two, which was mostly the signings of Secretary Price, who's behind me, and you add phase three, which I think we would have gotten, it became a great bill. Premiums would have gone down, and it would have been very stable, it would have been very strong. But that's okay. But we're very, very close, and again, I think what will happen is Obamacare, unfortunately, will explode. It's going to have a very bad year. Last year, you had over 100% increases in various places. In Arizona, I understand it's going up very rapidly again, like it did last year. Last year was 116%. Many places, 50, 60, 70%. I guess it averaged, whatever the average was, very, very high. And this year should be much worse for Obamacare. So what would be really good with no Democrat support, if the Democrats, when it explodes, which it will soon, if they got together with us and got a real health care bill, I'd be totally open to it, and I think that's going to happen.
Well, that was President Trump saying about why he had to do the bill. He's saying that, of course, this is going to explode. We're going to let it explode, and we're moving on. I don't foresee, after this many times of the GOP trying to pass this thing and trying to replace Obamacare, I don't see it happening again during at least the next few years. I think that what the GOP showed is that they are having the same issues that the Democrats are having, which is basically you have the diehards, and then you have the moderates, and then you have pretty much you're going between those two groups, okay? Because there are no such thing as liberal Republicans. So what are your thoughts about this? Why did it fail?
Because they're both starting fires, and two fires just make a bigger fire. It's never going to solve. They're just vengeful at each other. They're not working with each other at all. They're just going to object anything the other side says. It's going to go nowhere, ever.
And this is within the GOP itself. We're not talking about the Democrats here, right?
Yeah, it's all of them.
Well, how do you fix this? If Obamacare is so bad, and the idea was to replace it, according to the GOP, and to keep some parts of it and then replace others to make it solvent, work better, which I think probably needs to be done. There has to be some tweaks to the thing. It's not working the way it was intended in all regards. Well, what do you think they need to do?
Let it fail.
Yeah, just
and let them learn.
So you agree with what Trump
Yeah, then
is
they're
saying?
going to have to do something. And maybe then they'll see that this way that they've done things didn't work.
They'll either let it fail or they'll keep propping it up because they don't want to look like they let it fail. So one of two things is going to happen. But as far as a replacement, are you kidding me? Do you know how many times the GOP has put this idea of a replacement out before people, and it still hasn't happened? We'll have more in a moment on the American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. So great to have Drea Dahl here. She is here for a third show, and that means she's a keeper now. She's here until the end of time. This is excellent news, and Bill and I are very pleased about this. Thank you, Drea.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
You're actually adding quite a bit of verve and panache to the show, because who wants to see two old dudes when we could see a beautiful young girl?
This is true.
And so let's talk now about sanctuary cities. First off, what's a sanctuary city?
Cities that are going to protect the immigrants.
So these cities basically say, when you're in our city, you don't have to
The
worry
laws
about...
don't apply.
You don't have to worry about getting deported. Yeah, basically, that's the idea. And these have been operating for decades, right, some of these cities? So we have a new attorney general, because it's a new administration. His name is Jeff Sessions. Personally, I think he's a little stiff. Maybe he needs to get out more. But regardless... he's saying so-called sanctuary cities could lose federal money for refusing to cooperate with immigration authorities. He also suggested that the government would come after grants that have already been given to these cities if they don't comply, basically trying to strong-arm them. Your thoughts?
Wait, I found the money for the wall.
You did?
Yeah, the money we're going to take away from them. We can use it for the wall.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yes,
We're
it
taking,
works.
So basically, Sessions takes the money away from the sanctuary cities and gives it to the wall.
Why not? Yeah.
You know, this is a way. But like I said, there isn't that much money. There's 4.1 billion. Of course, that's a lot of money. But when you're talking wall at $1,000, what, $3,000 a foot? You know,
We'll start building the wall where there isn't sanctuary cities. Just skip that part. So save some money.
And then you verify they're in compliance of a section of federal law that allows information sharing with immigration officials. His statements in the White House briefing, this is of course Jeff Sessions, brought to mind tough talk from President Trump and the campaign because, and here's the quote: "I urge the nations, states, and cities to carefully consider the harm they're doing to their citizens by refusing to enforce our immigration laws. The message is a furtherance of Trump's campaign promise to defund sanctuary cities by taking away their federal funding. But legal precedent suggests that would be difficult. Sessions did not detail what specific factors would trigger the government to deny a city or strip a city of this money, only that it would take all lawful steps to claw back funds to cities deemed to be out of compliance." How well do you think this is going to work?
I mean, I think it should work. It worked with my parents when they said, it's my house, my rules, my money. I had to listen. They can listen.
You think they will?
No. Of course not. They're going to make it as hard as possible, but they should definitely take the money. The money should be gone. If they don't want to follow the rules, you can't, you know.
Well, the problem with these sanctuary cities, as good intentioned as they are, is they sometimes let criminals, I'm talking about undocumented immigrant criminals, stay in these cities where they commit crimes. And this is why Trump campaigned so hard on the campaign trail against it. So, yes, you know, if you're going to have a sanctuary city policy, it needs to be in compliance with the current immigration laws, or else just change the laws. If you can't change the laws, if you're trying to have it both ways, then you're going to run into problems. Because, Drea, we are a nation of laws, after all.
There has to be.
Otherwise, what do we have? We have anarchy and chaos. And who wants anarchy and chaos? I don't think one American citizen should be killed because of the actions of an undocumented immigrant, illegal immigrant, whatever you want to call it, committing a crime against them. I think one is one too many.
How about we charge them for the wall, the first sanctuary city that has a criminal come out of it?
I like
then
that
they
idea.
pay for the wall.
Okay, at least part of it.
Yeah.
Probably bankrupt them if we made them pay for the
So
whole thing.
what? They're bankrupting us by paying for their illegal immigrants.
Wow. It's tough talk from Drea Dahl. I like it. I like it very much. Either way, we're going to keep an eye on this story, and we're going to kind of tell you how it all develops. But just wanted to bring it to your attention. That's what we do here on the American Roundtable, which is your half hour of political power, because we're giving the power back to you, who is watching this show. And we are going to endeavor to do that every time we crack the mic and are able to see you there right on the other side of the camera, because it's really important that this information gets out, and it gets out in a timely and honest manner, like we always like to do. More in a moment. Back again on the American Roundtable. Now we're talking about Neil Gorish. Who is Neil Gorish? Well, he's a guy who's up to become a Supreme Court Justice, federal Supreme, obviously the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter of everything as far as laws go in the United States. Very important position. 9 justices. They're chosen. They have to appear before Congress. And it's used to be, before 30 years ago, this was kind of a rubber stamp thing. Whoever's in power gets to pick who they want to be a judge. It's part of the game. It's been that way since the beginning. However, with the Bork nomination, Robert Bork got nominated by Reagan 30 years ago, the Democrats drew first blood and decided to start making this into political theater. And they basically destroyed the Bork nomination. He never got in. And ever since then, with every time somebody's getting nominated, there's a big drag-out fight. There never used to be a big drag-out fight. They're acting like little children in the sandbox. What do you think about this?
It's all about revenge. They have to come up with something better than revenge. There has to be a better plan than just revenge.
What do you think it should be? Compromise.
Exactly.
Working together.
Isn't that what they're supposed to do?
Further- to
They're supposed
further
to actually make it work.
This country, yes, yes. Well, let's take a look at Neil Gorsuch. He's on track now to become the first Supreme Court nominee to be successfully filibustered since the 1960s, potentially the last to be filibustered in American history. Here's why. The Republicans appear increasingly unlikely to get the 8 Democrats' votes they need in the Senate to reach 60 to break a filibuster. Now, a filibuster is used by the minority party in order to stop legislation. Even though they're in the minority, they use this thing called a filibuster, where they try to fill time and cancel out the other party's wishes. Now, the GOP, the Republicans, right now, have the presidency, and they have the Senate, and they have the House of Representatives. Basically, they can do pretty much, as long as they don't infight like they did with Obamacare and the replacement vote, they pretty much can get through pretty much what they want. It's what the Democrats did with Obamacare and other things. But right now, the GOP has 52 seats. They may use the so-called nuclear option in the Senate. There's 100 seats in the Senate. They have 2 more than the Democrats. The nuclear option is changing Senate rules to have them confirmed by what they call a simple majority, 51 wins, instead of 60. So the quote is, we'll give our Democratic colleagues a chance to see if they provide the 60 votes. If they do, it's a moot point. And if they don't, as I said before, we will confirm him one way or the other, said Senate Majority Whip John Cornyn. And so this is what he's telling Political. And the GOP is still trying to flip Democratic senators. Here's the thing. If they get rid of this, there's going to be repercussions. We'll have more in a moment on the American Roundtable. It's the American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Well, that nuclear option, you know what happens if they pull that, right? That means that if the GOP ever becomes the minority party, which is likely in American politics, it seems to go back and forth, it means that they'll lose any ability to filibuster. So that's why the nuclear option hasn't been pulled yet. If you do that, you kind of screw yourself, not in the short term, but in the long term. Because sooner or later, you're going to be in a position where you're going to need to filibuster something, and you will not be able to. And filibustering goes all the way back to the beginning of America. So if you take that right away, and you're just strong-arming everything through, when it's the other person's time, they're going to do the same thing. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now let's take a look at leggings. What do you got for us about leggings?
Apparently, 2 girls were kicked off of a flight for their leggings.
Well, what are leggings? You talking about like yoga pants type things?
Yeah, airplane pants.
Just pants that are a little tight-fitting, show some leg.
Yeah, they're
You're
just
not showing
leggings.
anything.
No.
It's just something that covers the legs.
But with these girls, they were flying as the buddy pass that the airlines give, so they were representing the airlines.
So buddy pass is a family member can fly.
It's technically supposed to be an employee. Mm-hmm. So when they fly, they represent the airline. And then they got kicked off because the airline does not let them wear leggings to represent them.
Because they don't want to be the legging airline.
Because they have to have rules.
Yes.
Because you're representing. There's a dress code everywhere.
So so I take it you're of the opinion that if you're not wearing the right stuff, you get off the plane.
When you're flying in this manner, you're flying, it's working. So yeah, you have to follow the rules or go. But if you're on the other side and they're just customers, I love leggings.
Sure, you should be allowed to wear whatever you want as long as it's societally acceptable. I mean, you're not going to come up half naked.
As long as you're not then traveling that way.
Are you a legging fan? Do you enjoy leggings?
Yes, I love them. But if I know that at work, I don't wear leggings.
Because it's not professional.
Right.
It's more for comfort.
Exactly.
Right?
And when you're flying with this, you're representing the airlines. They expect a certain level of professionalism. It wasn't leggings.
Well, that's all we got. I mean, there's nothing really else to say about leggings. We've pretty much covered it all in just a couple of minutes. If you're representing a company and they have a policy that's no leggings, follow the policy. Don't try to just make up your own rules. I think that's our big thing on this show, that if there are rules, hey, if you don't like the rules, change the rules. Otherwise, follow the rules, right? To the best of your ability.
Calm down, liberals. Don't burn leggings.
Well, that does it for American Roundtable. We will see you next Saturday here on Tough TV. Until then, keep it real.
Keep it tough.